Hi everyone, this is Rishabh here. I'm a data science enthusiast and I'm a part of Elma Bejo. So today I will be giving overview of supervised machine learning algorithm. So we will begin with very basic with the linear regression and we will cover SVM and then we will naive Bayes and KNN. So, to begin with, I would like to start with whenever we talk about machine learning, we have in mind we have two types of major problems like that we want to predict actually, that we want to predict with the help of some models. So we have like two types of problems. One is where dependent variables, that is y, is basically a categorical, in the sense it is discrete variable, and in the second case where we have our y variable, dependent variable, is continuous in nature, right? That it can take any values, and in discrete it is kind of some, or basically like we are going to categorize it as a yes or no. It will be like true, false, 0, 1 kind of thing, right? It is a discrete in nature. So we have discrete dependent variable, and in continuous we have continuous variables, right? So we will begin with very first algorithm, very first machine learning algorithm, that is linear regression. So whenever we say linear regression, a thing come up in our mind, that is linear is something sort of a straight line kind of thing, right? And this is only a linear regression, right? So what happens in linear regression is we want to basically somehow find the relationship between our dependent variables, that is y, and our independent variables, that is x, right? We have been given with some features, that is our independent variables, and we want to predict some output, that is a dependent variable. So based on x we want to get y. So we want to find out the relationship between our dependent and independent variable with the help of a line, you can say, in the case of linear regression, right? So we want to get a best fit line that will describe the relationship between our independent variable and dependent variable in case of linear regression. And how we are going to achieve that? We are going to achieve that with the help of we are going to minimize the errors of that particular best fit line that we have gotten, right? The errors based on the errors will be basically minimal for that particular best fit line on the basis of our data, right? So we used to do this with the help of a gradient descent optimization algorithm. So the linear regression equation is obviously that we have already learned in very basics in the 9th 10th classes. It is a straight line equation, that is y is equal to mx plus c, right? Where c, or even sometimes we call it y is equal to mx plus b, that is our intercept, and m is the slope, and x will be like our independent variables that we have. In case of one independent variable, it will be like x1. So in general we used to say it as beta naught plus beta 1 x, right? Then beta 2 plus x2, beta 2 x2 kind of thing, right? So this will be our linear regression line that we want to basically, in any machine learning or algorithm, what is our ultimate motto is? Our ultimate motto is to learn the model parameters, right? In case of linear regression, we want to learn basically betas, right? Beta naught, beta 1, beta 2. When we got to learn the betas parameter, then for any new particular features like x1, x2, whatever the kind of features we have, we will just put it and we will get our dependent variable. So this is the case of linear regression, where we want to get a best fit line, right? In which our error will be minimal, right? And in this case, so our model got trained. So in this case, whatever basically the error we considered is basically we used to consider it as a you can say MSE or RMSE, that is mean squared error, that we will consider, that is our best fit line. And the distance, if you calculate the distance between the basically the points and that particular line, this will give us the residuals, right? So we will use to calculate the residual, mean, basically mean squared error of all the data points based on that particular line that we have, right? And then we will basically try to minimize that, right? So in this case, we will learn our model parameter, and to find the best fit line, we will basically use optimization algorithm that is called as basically gradient optimization, gradient descent, right? With the help of which we will get our model parameters, right? So this is it for linear regression. Now coming to the case, like whenever basically what happened is, uh, here is a basically you must have heard about bias variance trade-off, right? So what happens in bias variance trade-off is, so basically bias and variance both are the our error term, right? So what happens is, when we try to make our model too simple, so it will basically not generalize well, right? So it will basically it tends to like underfit the generalization, you can say. Basically it will be underfitting for us, right? If we give our model any value, it won't be able to predict if the error will be too high, right? And similarly, when we tends to increase the model complexity, so our model tends to basically learns the basically pattern as well as noise in the training data set that we have provided, right? So it tends to overfit the model, that is, it overgeneralizes the our model, right? Whenever we give a certain value, basically it learns the trained data very well, but it won't be performing very well on test data, right? So this will give us again a very large error due to high variance, right? So what happened is, to avoid this and to overcome this problem, we have come up with some kind of technique that is known as regularization. So regularization, as the word suggests, that we are going to regularize something, right? So whatever the model we have, basically this is just part of linear regression only. we are we are going to regularize our model, right? So what in regularization we does is, we basically penalizes the coefficients of a model, right? So what happen is, like, when our model is like tends to overfit, so what happen is, like, for vary one of the for vary, suppose for example, now consider this, like we have a particular betas, like for example, say for only one variable we have a equation y is equal to beta naught plus beta 1 x, right? We have only one feature, right? So suppose what happen is beta 1 for this x, this particular feature is very high. So what happen is, a very minute change in the x will tend to result the model in very high, basically our model will be driven by only that particular parameter, right? So what happened in regularization is, we want to penalize that particular parameter so that our model will be regularized, right? So we have two types of regularization, that is, we have L1 regularization, that is known as lasso, and L2 regularization, that is known as ridge. So in lasso regression, lasso stands for least absolute shrinkage selection operator, right? So in lasso regression, it is nothing but whatever we have the error term in linear regression, that is RSS, or you can say MSE. Plus we have a penalizing term that is defined as the lambda times the basically the summation of absolute values of all the coefficients, right? Like beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, whatever the coefficients we have, is the summations of that particular coefficients, right? And in ridge regression, what we have RSS plus the penalizing term as lambda times the summation of square of the coefficients that we have, right? So this tends to penalize that coefficient and comes up with the basically try to avoid the overfitting in our model, right? So this is regularization. So we must it's a good practice whenever we feel like our training data is our model is performing well on training data but it's not performing well on test data, then we must go for regularization and check whether our model is performing well by doing regularization or not, right? And we have one more regularization that is known as elastic neck regularization, which is basically a combination of L1 and L2 regularization, that is lasso and Fraser regularization. So this is it for basically linear regression, and it is very much because it founds the basically it is the foundation of all the machine learning algorithms. So this is very important algorithm for all of us to understand at the very basics of machine learning, right? So coming up to the next algorithm that we have is logistic regression. So logistic regression is basically a classification algorithm where we used to classify things, right? Independent variable is sort of categorical or discrete in nature, like whether this is cat or dog, and whether this person is suffering from COVID or not. So these kind of things can be done with the help of logistic regression. So the cost function here is basically y is equal to basically yi, that is the origin class of that particular observation, into log of y hat. You can say that that is as the probability of that particular class for that observation, right? Plus what we have is yi, that is the class of 1 minus yi, that is the class of that is the basically and the class and the log of basically 1 minus y hat, right? So this is also called as. So now coming to the next algorithm, that is decision trees. So decision tree is very intuitive kind of algorithm, and you can easily relate it to very day-to-day decision that you made in your life, right? uh, so what happens is, in decision trees basically we start with some kind of problem statement, and then we basically with the help of ifs, else if we are we basically split that particular problem into sub, and then in this way we basically reach to the end, and we will basically conclude something with that particular end. So it is very easy to interpret decision trees. So what happened in decision trees, the very first node that we have, where our all observations will lie, is known as a root node. And with that particular root node, and one more thing I would like to state here is as decision tree is used for both classification and regression problem, right? It's solved for where y is continuous, and where y is discrete in nature, right? So coming to this particular thing, so what will happen is we will split based on the ifs and buts. But the major question lies here is how can we split? How can we do splitting in decision trees, right? How should we decide that whether to split with particular feature, right? So to decide that, we have few things that we need to consider. For regression, it is like reduction in variance. The feature that gives us the less variance, we will go with that particular feature in the very beginning. And for classification, we have like the concept of entropy information gain and Gini index. So in for classification type of problem, right? So consider a classification problem where we want to do a splitting based on some feature, right? So we do decide it with the help of entropy. Entropy is nothing but a randomness of our data, right? So for a particular, if for our original data set, obviously in real life it is going to be a very high entropy, that is the randomness will be great. The randomness will be high in our original data set. Now we want to decide for which feature we have to go with, right? So what happens, for example, we have two features for simplicity. If we have two features only, so what happens is we will basically calculate the entropy based on both the features, right? We have particular root node, we will calculate the entropy for that particular root node, and then we will we will split with that particular feature and calculate the entropy for both the child nodes, right? Then what happen is we will calculate the weighted entropy for both the child nodes, and we will then calculate information gain. And what is information? Information gain is basically given as the entropy before this split minus entropy after this split, right? This will give us how much information we have gained after this split, right? So in this way we will calculate the entropy for information gain for that particular split, and similarly for another feature. So in whichever we will get higher information gain, that corresponds to the less entropy, and so we will go with that particular feature for that particular splitting. So in this way splitting happens and we will reach to the end of the things, right? Now the very thing in a decision tree is that it is very prone to overfitting, right? If we let our tree to grow till the very depth, then it will basically come to the each observation, each leaf node with the according to the observation, right? So it will give us the overfitting. So what happens is we want to basically we want to basically generalize it. We don't want that our model will get overfit, so that it will result badly in our for our data set, test data set, right? So to avoid overfitting in decision tree, we can go for pruning, and we can do some hyperparameter tuning, that we can calculate the depth of the trees and the number of observations that should be there in that particular leaf nodes. So these type of things we can do. And the one very common method that we used to do is ensemble, right? So ensemble is nothing but grouping together many decision trees, right? So we have two types of ensemble. The very first is bagging, and the second is posting. So bagging is acronym for basically bootstrap aggregation. So what happened is in bootstrap aggregation is bootstrap is basically sort of for example, we have a data set, so we will make basically kth copies of that particular data set that we have, right? And for each data set we will grow a tree, and after that in case of regression we will basically take the average of all the trees, and that will be our final prediction, right? And in case of classification we will take the max vote, and whatever the max vote will be, we will categorize it as our final prediction. This is in the case of bagging. And what happens is boosting is basically based on the weak learners, right? So what happened is for the very first iteration, for the very first trees, our model get trained and give us some output, right? So whatever for example in case of classification problem, so whatever the misclassification happens for the very first trees in the very first iteration, so what happens is the more weightage will be given on that particular error, you can say that particular misclassification, more weightage will be given to that particular thing in the next iteration. So what happens is with the help of this error in each iteration, we are trying to basically minimize that particular error in each iteration, right? So with the help of weak learners that we have in each iteration, we are trying to get a strong learner that will generalize our model, right? So this happens in boosting, right? So boosting is basically, as you see, it is dependent on the previous iteration. So it is basically a sequential in nature because it is interdependent in each other. But bagging is basically a separate trees in parallel. So it is parallel in nature, bagging is parallel in nature, and boosting is sequential in nature. One very famous application of basically bagging is random forest that you must have heard. So it is based on the bagging algorithm, and in boosting we have seen that we have discussed ADA boost, and we have some other like Adrien boosting, cat boost, and XG boost, light GBM kind of things, right? So decision tree is very intuitive, and it will be helpful in both regression and classification problem. So now coming to the next algorithm, that is KNN. That stands for K nearest neighbor, right? So again, KNN is used for both the problems, that is regression as well as classification problem. So what happened is basically it is very analogous to any individual. Like suppose I have, basically it is a human tendency that with whomever with you are grown up with, you are more likely to be like that particular person only, right? Suppose I am grown up with some of my two or three of my friends that I have been grown up with, and they used to like cricket, badminton, or these kind of things. So ultimately, as I used to I have grown up with them. So ultimately, that basically that. Kind of liking to cricket and cricket and badminton kind of thing, so that will basically be in somehow get inherit to me also, right? So this is the only thing that happens in K nearest also. So what happened in K nearest is, so what happened, we have training data set, right? So whenever a new data set that we want to categorize as, right? So whenever a new uh, 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 whenever a new data set comes up, so what happens is it gets placed. So what happens is, there is a parameter that we have to provide earlier, and that is known as nearest neighbor, right? So if we provide n neighbors as 3, so what happened for that particular parameter is, like, it will take the 3 nearest neighbor, with the help of distance metric that mostly commonly is Euclidean distance. So it will calculate the 3 nearest neighbor from its own position, and for in case of classification, suppose it calculates the 3 nearest neighbor as 2 of them are is of class 1 and one of them is class 0. So it will categorize himself as a class 1, right? Because majority of them are class 1. So in this way, classification happens in the case of KNN, right? So KNN is basically, there is no training happens in KNN, right? There is a training set always present in the model. Whenever a new data set is given, it will calculate basically the distance from all the data points that is available for a new data point, and will consider whatever the nearest neighbor that we have given. So the next algorithms that comes up is naive Bayes algorithm. That is naive Bayes classifier basically. So it is only for classification problem. So it is totally dependent on the Bayes theorem, right? That is of conditional probability. So naive Bayes states that basically what we want to classify something, right? So it is given as probability of label that is of any class given some features is defined as the probability of features given that particular label, and multiplied by probability of label divided by probability of features. That is basically Bayes theorem, right? So the whole point of finding the classifying the any new particular data set is based on this particular formula only, right? And this is it for basically naive Bayes theorem, and it is sort of why it is known as naive Bayes. Naive Bayes is basically, we have basically in this particular classification we will consider a very naive assumption, right? You can say, and that naive assumption is that the features or the probabilities must be independent to each other, right? So this is what we have considering naive Bayes, and that's why it is called as naive Bayes algorithm, right? So in this way we will classify labels or classify the things in naive Bayes. So now coming to our next algorithm, that is SVM. So SVM stands for support vector machine. So it is algorithm for both regression and classification tasks. So you can see that SVM is basically an extension of logistic regression for classification purposes, right? So for SVM, we need to understand a few things. That is support vectors, what the support vector means here, and what is hyperplane, because there is a use of hyperplane in this particular model. And then we have basically linearly swap labeled data points and non-linear swap labeled data points, and both the concepts in this algorithm will be different, right? So now for example, in case of classification problem, you can say, so what happen is, like, you have data points, right? So in data points, suppose that is linearly separated, but that we can separate it with the naked eye, right? Basically, if we put a straight line and it will be separated, basically both in case of binary classification, both the classes will be separated. So that is known as linearly separable data set, you can say that, right? So in this case, with the help of a straight line we can separate, but here in SVM, with the help so in SVM, there is not only a single line with the help of which we separate. So there is a concept of margin as well, right? So what will happen is we try to maximize the margin in SVM, right? We have a line and we have a corresponding margin for both the side, in both the side, right? And we want to maximize that margin so that the that margin will lie, or you can say overlap, for the very nearest data point for that particular class, right? For here as well, for upward and downward both the side, right? And the points or data points that will lie on that particular margin, you can say, or hyperplane, that you can say, that is known as support vectors. That will be the support vector for that particular hyperplane, for that particular model. And the line here in for 2D, you can see that line, but for higher dimensions you can say it as hyperplane. Now consider a case where basically the data points form sort of like basically it is non-linearly separable, but we can separate it with the line. So there is a concept of kernel trick in SVM. Here the kernel, in previous case, kernel is basically linear, right? So we have few kernels provided with us in SVM, and that is RBF, that is radial, and poly, that is polynomial kernel. And this kind of kernels are available in SVM, and that will be helpful when our dataset is like that tends to basically a non-linearly separable, right? So what happens is it tends to basically migrate, or it tends to change the dimensions of our dataset, right? For a low dimension it will make to the higher dimension, and with the higher dimension then we will be able to see that in the higher dimension it is easily separable with a plane, you can say. Basically we can say that alright, it will be a linearly separable in that particular case, right? We can separate it with a simple hyperplane. So this is it for the SVM point of view, support vector machines. For non-linearly separable, we will basically tend to increase the dimensions of the dimensions with the help of like RBF or a polynomial kind of thing. And for a simple linearly separable, we can separate it with a single line, given that there is a concept of margin as well, right? So there is a concept of hard margin and soft margin as well, that will allow us to basically so yeah, that's it for overview of supervised machine learning algorithms. I know these things will be much more clear when I try to basically explain it with the help of whiteboard or some kind of presentation kind of thing. But yeah, I hope I am able to convey my points for these particular algorithms that we have, right? So thank you so much, and I hope you like the video.